The CB radio crackled to life, jolting me awake in my truck's cab. It was close to 2 a.m., and I'd parked at a rest stop off a desolate stretch of I-90. Normally, I'd sleep through until dawn, but the static on the radio was louder than usual, followed by a faint, trembling voice. Breaker 19. Anyone out there? I think I've got someone following me. The desperation in the voice immediately shook off the last remnants of sleep. Truckers live by a code, and leaving someone in distress out here isn't an option. I leaned forward, adjusting the mic. "This is Red Arrow," I said, using my handle. "What's your location?" Silence. I checked my mirrors. The only lights were from my rig and the faint glow of the rest stop. The wind outside was howling, and it carried a strange, eerie hum. The voice returned. "I don't know. Highway's empty. No signs. Just keep driving." But they're still behind me. The static morphed into a guttural hiss, drowning out the voice. I frowned and turned the volume down slightly. Something wasn't right. A chill crept up my spine as I sat back, debating whether to ignore it or hit the road. Against my better judgment, I fired up the engine. I pulled onto the highway, scanning for headlights in the rearview. After 20 minutes of driving, my CB crackled again. But this time it wasn't a voice. It was breathing. Heavy, labored, and wet, like someone dragging themselves through mud. "Hello," I said, gripping the wheel tighter. The breathing stopped. Then came a sound that turned my stomach. Scraping metal, as if something was dragging along the asphalt. My headlights caught something in the distance, a pair of tail lights, swaying unnaturally. The truck was ahead of me, and it wasn't driving straight. It weaved side to side like its driver was drunk or asleep. But the oddest part was how slow it moved, as if hesitant. I flashed my high beams, signaling I was there. Nothing. I reached for the CB again. "This is Red Arrow. I'm on I-90 westbound. Is that you up ahead?" The CB hissed, and then the voice came back, barely a whisper. "Don't stop." I eased off the gas, keeping a cautious distance. The air felt heavier, the kind of suffocating stillness that precedes a storm. Then, I saw it. Something moved underneath the truck's trailer. It was quick, darting from one side to the other, but not human. A figure emerged into my high beams, clinging to the trailer's rear. The shape was wrong, too long and gaunt. Limbs jutted out at odd angles, and its face, I couldn't make out a face. Just blackness where features should have been. My heart pounded as the thing climbed up the trailer. I reached for the CB. "Whoever's driving, you've got something on your rig. Get out of there now." No response. I watched in horror as the creature crawled onto the cab, its movements impossibly fast. It slammed against the driver's side window, and the truck swerved violently before veering off the road into a ditch. The headlights dimmed, leaving only darkness. I hesitated. Everything screamed at me to keep driving, to forget what I saw, but that voice lingered in my mind. Someone needed help. I pulled over, grabbed my flashlight, and stepped out into the cold. The truck lay on its side, the trailer split open like a can of sardines. The cargo, wooden crates, was strewn across the ground, and something dripped from them. It wasn't oil. "Hello," I called, my breath visible in the freezing air. "Are you okay?" No answer. I climbed onto the overturned cab and shone my flashlight through the shattered window. The driver's seat was empty. Blood smeared the dashboard, leading out to the woods. The forest loomed nearby, dark and impenetrable. The scraping sound returned, louder now, closer. I turned, and there it was again, standing at the edge of the light. It tilted its head, as if curious. Its limbs were too long, its hands ending in sharp, hooked claws. It stepped forward, its movements jerky but deliberate. I stumbled back, falling off the cab. The flashlight hit the ground and rolled, casting wild beams of light. The creature stopped, turning its head sharply toward the woods. Then, without warning, it sprinted into the trees, vanishing. I didn't wait around. I grabbed the flashlight and bolted back to my truck. As I climbed into the cab, the CB crackled one last time. "Red Arrow." The voice rasped, weaker now. Don't stop for them. Don't ever stop. The line went dead. I slammed the door, locked it, and hit the gas. My rig roared down the highway, headlights piercing the darkness. In the rear view, the forest stood still, but I swore I saw something moving between the trees. Something too tall, too fast. I didn't stop driving until sunrise. As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, I finally pulled into a truck stop on the outskirts of a small town. My hands were trembling as I shut off the engine, and for the first time in hours, the deafening silence in the cab was broken only by the faint hum of the engine cooling down. I felt safe, but just barely. Stepping out of the truck, I took a long, shaky breath. The lot was filled with rigs, their drivers either asleep in their cabs or sitting in the diner that glowed warmly through the morning mist. Normalcy surrounded me, but the events of the night clung to my skin like cold sweat. Inside the diner, I ordered a coffee and took a seat by the window where I could keep an eye on my truck. My reflection in the glass looked pale, haunted. The waitress, a friendly older woman, set down my coffee and asked, "Long night?" I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. As she walked away, I glanced at the other drivers. They were laughing, eating stacks of pancakes, exchanging stories from the road. The sense of isolation weighed on me. How could I explain what I'd seen? I pulled out my phone, intent on looking up anything about strange creatures or accidents on I-90, but something stopped me. Sitting on the screen was a notification. A missed call from an unknown number. The timestamp read 2:03 a.m., just minutes after the voice had first crackled through my CB radio. A chill ran down my spine as I played the voicemail. The message was garbled, almost unintelligible, but I recognized the voice. It was the same trembling one that had first called for help. "You have to warn them," it said. "They're on the highways. They're everywhere. If you stop, you're done." Then came a sound I'll never forget. It was a guttural, wet screech, inhuman and impossibly loud. The voicemail ended abruptly. I sat there, gripping the phone, trying to process what I just heard. I wanted to delete it, to erase the memory of the voice, the thing on the road, the bloody truck. But something stopped me. I had a feeling deep in my gut that this wasn't the end. The rest of the day passed in a haze. I stuck to familiar roads, well-traveled ones. By nightfall, I'd reached my delivery point, a crowded distribution center in a bustling city. Safety in numbers, I told myself. But as I unloaded my cargo, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The shadows between the trucks seemed deeper, and every creak of metal or hiss of air brakes made my pulse race. I finished as quickly as I could and got back in the cab, locking the doors. As I pulled onto the freeway to head home, my CB crackled to life again. This time, there was no voice, just that same labored breathing, heavy and wet. I didn't respond. I didn't look back. Some nights, when I'm parked alone at a rest stop or idling on an empty stretch of road, I think about the trucker who called out for help. I wonder if he made it. I wonder what those things are, and why they seem to linger on the highways, waiting for someone foolish enough to stop. And I wonder if one day, I'll hear that voice again, calling from the dark. If I do, I'll keep driving.